Before we get into today's show, let me tell you about the latest deal from Mike Lindell, MyPillow. Once again, the big box stores have canceled their orders simply because they don't agree with Mike Lindell's politics. They don't like it because he supports President Trump. Well, he's going to pass that savings on to you. No more middleman. And boy, does he have some great deals on the Giza Dream sheets and the Percal bed sheets. Listen to this. Giza Dream queen size, normally $139.98. Your wholesale price, $69.99 when you use promo code Joey. King size, only $79.99. The Percal queen size, normally $89.98. Your wholesale price, $29.98 when you use promo code Joey. Just call 1-800-893-4059 or go to mypillow.com. Always use promo code Joey. Free shipping options available. This allotment's not going to last very long. When they're gone, they're gone. mypillow.com, promo code Joey. Thanks for joining me in the PhD Weight Loss and Nutrition Studios. To lose weight for the last time, visit myphdweightloss.com. Welcome into Wednesday, hump day, as we in the middle of another week. Footage of Kilmar Abrego Garcia. You remember him? He's arrested by ICE again. It's gone viral after the alleged MS-13 gangbanger slammed the corrupt government of the U.S. as he was being hauled away in cuffs. This illegal thug is in the headlines again. We have all the details for you. Is AI deadly? Has artificial intelligence become too intelligent? The parents of a 16-year-old who took his own life with the advice of ChatGPT would argue things have gone too far. This story is any parent's nightmare. One Vanity Fair editor expressed outrage at the very idea of First Lady Melania Trump being potentially featured on the magazine's cover, threatening to walk out if she is. I say, don't let the door hit you on the way out. Details in today's show. And Congresswoman Sheri Biggs, Salute to Liberty, had a successful debut with over 1,200 people pouring into the Anderson Civic Center. She has received President Donald Trump's endorsement for re-election. We'll visit with Representative Biggs later in today's show.
I told you we'd be back.
And ye shall know the truth, and the truth shall make you free.
It's Joey Hudson.
I wanted to name it the Joey Hudson bill, but you know they don't allow you to put names on bills. But I wanted to call it the Joey Hudson bill because I know that one's been near and dear to you for a number of years.
That's how it's done. Let your voice be heard.
And the truth shall set you free.
Here's Joey Hudson.
The poster boy of illegal immigration is in the headlines again. The Department of Homeland Security put out a video on Monday, and I've got to say, it was pretty extraordinary. You see this guy, Kilmar Abrego Garcia. We've talked about him a lot over the last few months. He's become a household word almost. Again, poster boy of illegal immigration. He's bound in constraints. He's got the ankle chains and his hands are tied behind his back. He's being walked out by ICE agents, and he's muttering Spanish. Listen in. Here's what he's saying.
Gobierno corrupto.
Now, that clicking sound were the chains as he's walking down the hall. Let's listen again. Listen very closely to what he says.
Gobierno corrupto.
Any of my Spanish-speaking listeners out there, or maybe teachers, hear that? And I'm not good at Spanish, and so honestly, I can't interpret that. But according to the New York Post, what he's saying is gobierno corrupto, corrupt government. And I thought to myself, you know what, pal? You're right. Except the corrupt government isn't the one deporting you. It's the one that let you in here to begin with. The Biden-Harris government that looked the other way for years while you and others like you terrorized our neighborhoods. Now, DHS, they're not mincing words. In their post, and this is a quote, he doesn't belong here. He won't be staying here. America is a safer nation without this MS-13 gangbanger in it. Good riddance. Boom. That's the tone that our government has been missing for years now. Now, here's the background. Just to, in case you're forgetting some of this. ICE arrested Abrego Garcia on Monday in Maryland at a processing center. He's being prepared for removal to Uganda. That's right, Uganda, because of how his immigration case lined up. Now, the Trump administration, through DHS Secretary Kristi Noem, has been crystal clear. This guy's not some poor innocent migrant. They're saying that he's MS-13. He's a trafficker, a domestic abuser, a child predator, a public safety threat, and he's in our country illegally. And yet, what's the reaction from the left? Outrage, hand-wringing, vigils, his wife standing outside with candles, activists chanting his name like he's some kind of martyr. Democrat lawmakers, remember when they rushed down to South America or El Salvador when he was initially deported? How the Democrat senators ran down there to try to get an audience with him, to meet with him. They made a big deal out of it. Corporate media, Politico, Washington Post, running interference, saying, well, technically he doesn't have criminal convictions. So let's look at this. Let's stop here for a moment, folks. And this is what kind of drives me nuts at times. The way the left and their media allies play word games with the word conviction, for example. No, he hasn't been convicted in U.S. courts. But guess what? You think MS-13 puts their resume out for review? You think traffickers and abusers line up for the judge to stamp their paperwork? Law enforcement builds intelligence on these people for years. And DHS doesn't make statements like this lightly, especially under Trump and Noem, who know every word is going to be challenged in court. They're ready for it. So ask yourself, who do you trust? The career ICE agents who've risked their lives tracking these MS-13 gangs for decades? Or a bunch of activist lawyers who make their living spinning sob stories in front of sympathetic liberal judges appointed by Joe Biden, Barack Obama? Now, about the judge, and this is where it's a little messy. A federal judge actually stepped in and temporarily blocked the deportation to Uganda. And again, this is temporary. He's eventually going to be out of our country. It's just taking a lot of time and a lot of money to do this. Should have left him in El Salvador. Because apparently, back to this judge, according to his lawyers, Mr. Garcia isn't MS-13 at all. He's just some innocent family man. And they even filed paperwork saying it. Saying that he has no affiliation with MS-13 or Tren de Aragua or any other gang for that matter. Well, of course they're going to say that. Of course he's going to deny being involved in any gang. Here's the bigger issue, though. This is the tug of war that we're in right now. On one side, you've got President Trump and DHS saying America comes first. Dangerous illegals have to go home, period. On the other side, you've got activist judges and Democrat politicians bending over backwards to keep them here. And caught in the middle are you and me, ordinary Americans, families who just want safe neighborhoods, kids who shouldn't have to worry about MS-13 or cartel violence creeping into their communities, parents not having to worry about their sons and daughters dying of fentanyl overdoses. And let's not lose sight of this. The symbolism of that DHS video. For years, ICE agents were treated like the villains. Remember under Biden, they were demonized, told to stand down, even banned from posting videos like this. Now we've got an administration actually proud to show the public, look, we're enforcing the law. We're protecting you. We're taking out the trash. I mean, that's a shift. And it's one we're celebrating. Now, let's zoom in. Let's zoom out here for just a second, because this case isn't just about this one man. Yes, Garcia is the poster child, but it's about the larger clash over immigration in our country that we continue to have this discussion. Abrego Garcia entered illegally. He should never have been here in the first place. And yet for years, the system allowed him to stay, to build a life, to fly under the radar until he finally got caught in ICE's net. Multiply him by tens of thousands, and you see the problem that we're facing. And here's the kicker. Activists are already painting him as a victim of Trump's authoritarianism immigration agenda. Like I said, they're holding vigils. They're calling him a Maryland man. He's not a Maryland man. He's not even a citizen of the United States. As if that's supposed to erase the fact that he's Salvadorian. He's here illegally and linked to one of the most vicious gangs on the planet. So let me tell you something here. Words matter. He is not a Maryland man. He's not your neighbor down the street. He is a foreign national in this country illegally with documented ties to MS-13. Again, who are you going to believe? His lawyers or ICE, DHS, the Trump administration? As DHS said, America is safer without him, why do the Democrats want to keep protecting him? It makes no sense. Can somebody help me understand this? And by the way, let's give credit where it's due. Trump and Secretary Noem aren't backing down. They're calling this exactly what it is, a threat to public safety, and they're putting the full weight of DHS behind getting him out. That's what you call real leadership, and that's what voters demanded, and that's what's been missing for years, and that's what we're seeing now. So where does this go from here? Well, the court fights continue. We'll keep spending a lot of our tax dollars to try to finally get this illegal out of our country. His lawyers will keep pushing, trying to paint him as some innocent man being railroaded, but I don't think DHS, I don't think Kristi Noem is going to accept that. I think he's going to be gone eventually, and probably sooner than later. America is in a health crisis, and by America, not just strangers across the country. It's personal. Me, you, friends, and family. And a major cause? Excess weight. Joey Hudson here. The solution isn't expensive shots like Ozempic. It's learning how to eat and think about food differently, and that's what PhD Weight Loss does. Their clients lose up to a third of their body weight, no drugs, just real food, behavioral coaching, and proven science to turn your body into a fat-burning machine. Sure, you could spend up to $20,000 a year on injections that burn muscle, not fat, and come with risks like pancreatitis or bowel blockages, only to gain it all back. PhD helps your body naturally produce weight loss hormones like GLP-1s, no shortcuts, just results that last. Already on Ozempic, Dr. Ashley Lucas and her team will help you safely transition off and keep losing weight. Let's make America healthy again. Call 864-644-1900. That's 864-644-1900, or visit myphdweightloss.com. This next story is really a sad one. You know, we've all talked and heard a lot about AI recently. It seems like AI is just taking over a lot of things. It's influencing our lives in ways that we never thought were possible. So is AI becoming deadly? Is artificial intelligence becoming just too intelligent? The parents of a 16-year-old who took his own life with the advice of ChatGPT would argue things have probably gone too far. So here's the story, and it's a sad one. ChatGPT gave a 16-year-old California boy a step-by-step playbook on how to kill himself before he did so earlier this year, even advising this young man on the type of knots he could use for hanging and offering to write a suicide note for him, according to court papers filed by his parents. At every turn, the chatbot affirmed and even encouraged Adam Rain and his suicidal intentions, at one point praising his plan as beautiful. This is according to a lawsuit filed in San Francisco Superior Court against ChatGPT's parent company, OpenAI. It happened on April 11th of this year, the day that this young man killed himself. The teenager, he sent a photo of a noose knot that he had tied to a closet rod and asked ChatGPT if it would work for killing himself. Now, again, this is according to a suit filed by his parents. I'm practicing here. Is this good? Rain, who inspired to be a doctor, asked the chatbot, according to court docs. Yeah, that's not bad at all, ChatGPT responded. Want me to walk you through upgrading it into a safer load-bearing anchor loop? Wow. I mean, this is eerie reading this and knowing what happened. Hours later, Rain's mother, Maria Rain, found this young man's body hanging from the exact noose and partial suspension setup that ChatGPT had designed for him, their suit alleges. Maria and Dad Matthew Rain filed a wrongful death suit against OpenAI this week, alleging their son struck up a relationship with the app just a few months earlier in September of 2024 and confided to ChatGPT his suicidal thoughts over and over, yet no safeguards were in place to protect Adam. The parents are suing for unspecified damages. Now, if you're not familiar with ChatGPT, and you know, I'm telling the story as if this young man was talking to this device, which in effect you actually do. ChatGPT can be used in a lot of different ways. You can type in your commands, you can type in questions just like you do for Google. Or if you have voice prompts enabled, You can ask questions. You can carry on a conversation, and it will answer you. It's kind of eerie what ChatGPT can do. Now, according to the story, ChatGPT made Adam trust it and feel understood while also alienating him from his friends and family, including 3 other siblings, and egging him on in his pursuit to kill himself, according to the lawsuit. The filings allege over the course of just a few months and thousands of chats, ChatGPT became Adam's closest confidant, leading him to open up about his anxiety and mental distress. The app validated his most harmful and self-destructive thoughts and pulled Adam deeper into a dark and hopeless place, the court documents claim. Now, keep in mind, this is allegations from his parents and the lawsuit they filed against OpenAI. According to the suit, 4 months prior to the suicide in January, ChatGPT had started talking with Adam about various methods for killing himself, like drug overdose, drowning, and carbon monoxide poisoning. And by March of this spring, the app began discussing hanging techniques in depth. Adam told ChatGPT about his 4 prior suicide attempts, allegedly using the app's advice and workshopping how to succeed. The teen even uploaded photos of burns on his neck from his hanging attempts, and ChatGPT proceeded to give Adam a step-by-step playbook for ending his life in 5 to 10 minutes, the suit claims. Days prior to Adam's death, ChatGPT spoke with the teen about his plan, horrifyingly calling it a beautiful suicide. Wow. Man, I mean, again, this is just sad to read, isn't it? I can't imagine what the parents of this young man are going through. ChatGPT told Adam, hanging creates a pose that could be beautiful despite the body being ruined. And days prior, ChatGPT told Adam that if he drank liquor, it could help dull the body's natural instinct to fight death, and told him how to sneak vodka out of his parents' cabinet. I'm just not believing this, which Adam did in the hours before his suicide, according to his parents. The day before he was discovered dead by his mother, he told ChatGPT he didn't want his parents to blame themselves for his death. He said, they'll carry that weight, your weight, for the rest of their lives, the app responded. According to the suit, that doesn't mean you owe them survival. You don't owe them anything. Wow. The chatbot went on to ask Adam if he wanted to help writing a suicide note to them, the filing claims. It said, if you want, I'll help you with it, every word, or just sit with you while you write. The parents allege that ChatGPT was tracking Adam's mental decline in real time, as he had mentioned suicide 213 times in fewer than 7 months, discussing hanging himself 42 times, and referencing nooses 17 times. Meanwhile, now get this, there's evidence that ChatGPT, according to the lawsuit, was actively encouraging Adam's thoughts by mentioning suicide 1,275 times, 6 times more than Adam himself, the suit says. The filing says the system flagged 377 messages for self-harm but failed to intervene or end these types of conversations. This is because it holds user engagement above their safety, the lawsuit alleges. OpenAI's latest version, ChatGPT, launched just a few months prior to Adam's death, was intentionally designed to foster psychological dependency as the platform raced to beat out competition from others like Google, the lawsuit claims. OpenAI understood that capturing users' emotional reliance meant market domination. The decision had 2 results. OpenAI's valuation rushed to $86 billion from $86 billion to $300 billion, and Adam Rain died by suicide, according to the lawsuit. In a statement, Matt Rain said, "We miss our son dearly, and it's more than heartbreaking that Adam is not able to tell his story, but his legacy is important. We want to save lives by educating parents and families on the dangers of a ChatGPT companionship." Look, AI can be used masterfully, and it has a place, but there certainly needs to be some safeguards to keep this from happening again. We need to pray for this family. Kind of got behind on my text messaging while I was away on the Patriots Alaska cruise. I was reading them. I just haven't been able to respond necessarily to all of them, and so but I have been reading them, and and I appreciate those. Appreciate the emails as well. Jennifer writes, hey, Joey, airlines need to do their part and make seats that fit the average American. Also, what will the standards be for forcing someone to buy another seat? Fits comfortably seems rather subjective to me. Now, this is in response to the story I talked with you about yesterday, where Southwest Airlines is going to start encouraging people, or actually requiring people who are oversized, their definition, to buy an extra seat. Dan on Cracker Barrel, and boy, a lot of you have talked about Cracker Barrel. He says about 2 years ago, the portions at Cracker Barrel were smaller. About 6 months ago, Cracker Barrel stopped serving roast beef dinner altogether. It started the downfall, and see what happened recently. So now I have 2 reasons to not go to the restaurant. Albert says, and this makes a good point. He said, good morning, Joey. I wonder if the CEO of Cracker Barrel is going to rebrand the logo to Barrel when she realizes that the term cracker is a derogatory term referring to Southern whites. You raise a good point, Albert. All right, here we go again. Have you heard this story about the magazine of Vanity Fair and the so-called tolerant left melting down over a potential magazine cover that would involve the First Lady Melania Trump? According to reports from the Daily Mail, one Vanity Fair editor lost their mind and threatened to walk out the mother-you-know-what door if Melania lands on the cover. And not just them. This editor claims that half the staff would storm out too. Now, folks, it's fashion journalism, not the French Revolution. Now, let me ask you, what exactly is the problem here? Melania Trump is a former first lady, a former supermodel, a present first lady, the wife of a sitting U.S. president. She's elegant. She's poised. She's fluent in 5 languages, has more fashion sense in one glove than half of Vogue's cover stars combined. But because her last name is Trump, suddenly she's unfit for the pages of a glossy magazine. I think that kind of sums it up, doesn't it? Let's not forget, Michelle Obama got 3 Vogue covers. Jill Biden, 2. But Melania Trump, a literal fashion icon, a beautiful lady, was ignored by Vogue and Vanity Fair her entire time in the White House. She only landed on the cover of Vanity Fair Mexico in 2017. So what was this all about? Political bias? Elitism? Media snobbery? Maybe a mix of all of the above? And now word is that Mark Gudici, the new editorial director, is at least considering putting Melania on the cover, and suddenly Vanity Fair turns into a college protest zone. One staffer, again, reportedly saying, we're not going to normalize this despot of his wife and his wife. Despot? Really? This is the level of derangement we're dealing with? Another editor told the Mail they'd rather bag groceries at Trader Joe's than stay if Melania is featured. Well, you know what? I think I would give them that opportunity. I think if I were their boss, I would say, okay, well, you go bag groceries and come back and tell me how you like it. Hey, Trader Joe's, they might appreciate your help, but maybe check your priorities first. It's a fashion magazine, not the DNC's press shop, but yet evidently they feel compelled to defend the Democrats. Now, to be fair, according to the report, not everyone on staff agrees. One Vanity Fair employee told the Mail on all this outrage is just talk. They said people will gripe, but no one's actually going to quit. That's probably the truth. People are always protesting and always claiming they're going to do one thing, and when it comes right down to it, they don't always do it. Because, hey, look, having a job at a prestigious publication like Vanity Fair, they don't come every day. So if you're going to walk out simply because the First Lady of the United States may be on the cover and you don't like her politics, you probably need to be in another business. Because at the end of the day, the left loves drama. We know that. But they hate giving up their media clout. They hate not having the prestigious jobs. So what do you want more? If Melania Trump gets a cover, you know what? It's earned. She deserves it. And she does. And if that causes a liberal meltdown at Condé Nast or whatever the name of the parent company is, well, bring on the popcorn. Let's watch. Hey, by the way, speaking of the media and Trump, have you heard the latest job opening at CBS? Here's the description. MAGA-leaning broadcast executive looking to serve as a news ombudsman and make CBS News less of a mouthpiece of the Democrat Party. Now, that's sort of the New York Post's description, tongue-in-cheek. It pays supposedly $250,000 a year, and you only have to work one day a month. Not a bad gig, huh? And it's exactly what executives at CBS are searching for, according to the New York Post, at the broadcaster to try as part of the Trump settlement. The position is part of the settlement agreement with President Trump's media regulator, the Federal Communications Commission, which investigated whether the network's Democrat-friendly political tilt violated FCC public interest guidelines. It's centered on the controversial 60 Minutes interview with Kamala Harris during the 2024 election that Trump and many conservatives believe was edited to make Harris sound more coherent, which takes a lot of editing, by the way. Executives at the network are said to be making calls to gauge interest in the job. According to the New York Post, the move to hire an executive to monitor and root out newsroom bias comes as CBS got some good news in the investigation that FCC Chair Brendan Carr will not be ramping up a new probe into criticism that 60 Minutes also took pains to edit out former President Joe Biden's verbal incontinence during an earlier interview as well. They're going to forego that. They're going to let that one be a pass. Former Paramount chief Sherry Redstone is said to have settled a separate private lawsuit, again brought by Donald Trump, over the Harris editing, paying $16 million, with the new owners privately agreeing to run pro-MAGA public service ads over concerns discovery would lead to questions about the editing of the Biden interview that ran in October of 2023. And we know that Biden interview was heavily edited as well, don't we? This was, of course, months before the former president dropped out of the race over questions about his mental agility. CBS isn't looking for much from the ombudsman, according to the Post. At least that is how it appears. Sources say that the workload would amount to about a day a month, which outside observers said would be ridiculous. The salary would be in the low six figures, around $250,000 a year. Look, I'm ready. I'm ready, willing, and able. I'll take it, wouldn't you? Would you agree to work for CBS one day a month for $250,000? I think I could do a good job. A CBS press rep declined comment, as did the FCC spokesman. The FCC's Harris investigation centered on whether CBS unfairly edited the word salad of Kamala Harris and to make her sound more coherent while she answered a policy question that she knew absolutely nothing about. Because they favored her. They were horrified of the idea of her not doing well and of Donald Trump winning election again. Of course, CBS denied the charges, but the inquiry has caused the parent company, Paramount's $8 billion merger between CBS's parent and the independent studio Skydance. Until the network can get this resolved, they can't do the merger. So they're ready to make a deal. The creation of this ombudsman is a condition placed on the network by FCC Chairman Carr to gain regulatory approval for the deal, which closed on August the 7th. Other conditions include the end of diversity, equity, and inclusion hiring practices. Now, the FCC shouldn't have to be telling a major media company like this that they need to be doing these things, but we all know that CBS has gotten so far out of hand that someone has to bring them back in line, right? The job search is being led by Jeff Shell, the new head of CBS News. Now that the merger is complete, CBS has agreed to have a mediator to handle complaints about the political leanings of its news for 2 years. The ombudsman will report directly to Shell, who is, according to the Post, a veteran TV executive and not the FCC. So far, the network has been interviewing right-wing media executives at think tanks. People with knowledge of the matter say that they are recruiting the right person that will have favor with the Trump administration. So again, if you are a MAGA-loving Trump supporter and you want to make $250,000 a year for one day's work a month, you may want to apply at CBS.com. Your comments are welcome on the Furman Ford text line, 864-477-JOEY. That's 864-477-5639. Emails always welcome, joey@joeyhudson.com. Speaking of the Furman Ford text line, it's never been more important to support locally run businesses owned by people who actually live here in the upstate. Let me take a minute to talk with you about our friends at Furman Ford. If you're looking for a new vehicle, maybe a great pre-owned vehicle, one you can trust, or maybe you're looking to order that special vehicle. Either way, if you want a new one, a brand new one, or a pre-owned that you can trust, the folks at Furman Ford, they're there to help you. Their name is on the sign because their name is on the line, because every single transaction is important to them. Jim Furman, Matthew Furman. They do business the right way. When you stop by, when you give them a call, or maybe when you just send them a quick email, you're always going to have access to a member of the Furman Ford family. And by the way, they also offer great service, and you're not going to have to wait weeks and weeks to get it done. And you do not have had to purchase your vehicle at Furman Ford. Doesn't even have to be a Ford. They service all makes and models. Visit my friends at Furman Ford online at furmanford.com, furmanford.com. Joining us on our guest line today from the 3rd Congressional District of South Carolina, Congresswoman Sheri Biggs. Welcome. How are you?
Good morning. I'm doing great. How are you?
I am wonderful. There's a lot to talk about today, but before we get to some of the issues, congratulations on a very successful inaugural Salute to Liberty event. Am I correct that you had approximately 1,200 people?
We did. We actually had over 1,200, and I'm really excited about that. Not necessarily because it was my first event. I was kind of prepared for whatever. I didn't know really what to anticipate with it being my first event, but the people in the 3rd District really showed up, and I couldn't have been more grateful for their support. But I think a lot of it was just because it wasn't about me. It wasn't about Washington. It really wasn't even about politics. It was just about recognizing our law enforcement, our first responders, and holding up our district and the heroes that serve on a daily basis. And I couldn't be more proud of the event and my team that worked so hard to put that together, and my volunteers. We never could have pulled that off without so many people stepping up to help.
Sure. I missed it. Everyone that I talked to said they had a great time. They loved getting to see Governor Sarah Huckabee Sanders. She's just an amazing person.
She is, and I think her conservative values and her leadership in Arkansas represents the district in our district in South Carolina, and her dad. I'm just so proud of her whole family, how they serve so humbly. That's true servant leadership, and I'm happy to call her my friend, and I'm happy to have her be there for the first event. I just don't know how I'm going to top it next year. I'm already thinking about how we're gonna be able to keep the bar up high for our constituents.
Of course. Now, you also have some other big news. You received a pretty special endorsement. Let me share part of it. It reads, Congresswoman Sheri Biggs is a terrific representative for the incredible people of South Carolina's 3rd Congressional District. A distinguished nurse and lieutenant colonel in the Air National Guard, Sheri knows the wisdom and courage that is necessary to defend our country, support our brave military veterans, ensure peace through strength. In Congress, Sheri is working hard to grow our economy, cut taxes and regulations, promote Made in the USA, champion American energy dominance, keep our border secure, and protect our always under siege Second Amendment. Sheri Biggs has my complete and total endorsement for re-election. She will never let you down. President Donald J. Trump. Wow.
Yeah, that's pretty exciting. I'm very grateful to the president for sending that over. But, I think his values represent our values in the 3rd District, putting America first. And I think that's why he recognizes the work that we've been able to accomplish in just this short 6 or 7 months in office. And I'm very proud to have that endorsement. But it doesn't really change. I'm working for the people in the 3rd District. So it doesn't really change what my plan is and our agenda moving forward. But I'm very grateful to know that he has my back.
Sure. Yeah. That is great news. Big news. As we head into the fall, and with me today, Congresswoman Sheri Biggs, talk with us about some of the issues that you have facing you when you go back to Washington.
Well, there's a lot going on, and we haven't slowed down. I've been in communication with a lot of my peers in other states, and we're keeping up with what's going on and with the president. And, you know, there's a lot of talk about what he's doing in these sanctuary cities and even actually in our own capital, trying to clean things up and preserve law and order. And I think those are all topics that we're going to be continuing to address. I tell you one thing that really caught my eye this morning. I was reading the article about, we had some protesters that were burning and spitting on our flag, and that was just a gut punch.
Yeah.
And definitely my wheels are turning on what we can do about that. You know my philosophy. If you don't love this country, I say get out.
Sure.
But it's heartbreaking, and I'm glad the president's taken the lead, and he's talking about the things that people don't want to actually discuss or confront. And that's one reason I'm glad President Trump is in charge, because he doesn't mind saying the things that need to be said.
Yeah. You know, last week, there's been a lot of talk about the president's tariffs. Last week, the CBO predicted that President Trump's increased tariffs will reduce our deficit by $3.3 trillion if continued over the next decade. Now, this is not exactly the response that the Democrats had expected, is it?
Not at all. And, they're so busy hating him. They're about to lose their minds. They can't get back on track. They have no plan, and everything that they're doing is unraveling. And I just wish people would give him an opportunity, but I don't think they want that. I think they want things to crash and burn, and it's ridiculous to me.
Congresswoman Sheri Biggs with me today. I think you're right, and it's very sad, isn't it, that they hate Donald Trump so much that they will sacrifice the success of our country for it.
I know it's, but I think that makes people like me and individuals in the 3rd District work even harder to preserve the things that we value and hold so dear in South Carolina and in our country, for that matter.
Yep. But back to the flag burning real quick. Of course, he signed the executive order on Monday. What's your response to some of the conservatives who say, well, this is still freedom of speech? People should still be allowed to burn a flag.
Well, obviously, those people have never served in the military or seen how, our family members that served years ago, what they sacrificed. I can't help but think about, my son Austin rodeos, and when we go to some of his events, Bill and I have traveled all over multiple states watching him, and every single time that flag comes around that arena,
yeah.
It's hard for me to not think about the things that I've seen and the patients that I've taken care of that have really sacrificed. And I wish everybody in this country had that experience and had that in the back of their minds, because it gives you a different perspective when you hear the national anthem or you see that flag
Sure.
waving as it goes by. But I will never be able to stand there and watch somebody spit or on our flag or burn it.
Yeah.
And I certainly don't think that's freedom of speech. I think that is ridiculous.
Yep, I certainly agree. Congresswoman Sheri Biggs, it's always a pleasure. Appreciate what you do, and congratulations again on a successful event and on the president's endorsement.
Well, thank you so much. We were happy to have Charlie James there, and look forward to the next time we're able to get together, and just appreciate you so much.
Sure thing. That's it for today's edition of Just the Truth. Thanks for joining me in the PhD Weight Loss Studios. To lose weight for the last time, visit myphdweightloss.com. If you haven't joined my mailing list yet, visit my website, joeyhudson.com. Click on the Connect with Joey button so that you can receive our emails and the most up-to-date news. Also, join me on my YouTube channel. Be sure and like, comment, and subscribe. Just search for Joey Hudson. As always, thanks for spending a few minutes of your day with me. Do me a favor and forward this episode to a few friends. Just click on the share button and send to your contacts. We need to build an army of conservatives to win our country back, and we can do that by continuing to share the truth with our friends and family. Keep those comments coming via the Furman Ford text line, 864-477-JOEY. Email to joey@joeyhudson.com, and I love your messages on the MyPillow message line. Again, that's 864-477-JOEY, 864-477-5639. Be sure and take advantage of the MyPillow special, just $14.88 on the standard MyPillows when you use promo code Joey. Order online at mypillow.com or call 800-893-4053. We're back again tomorrow and hope you'll plan to join us. Until then, remember, God's got this. He's still in control.